Um, we're putting this weight loss protocol together, which is super exciting. It seems like everyone, I don't know too many people that are complaining that they can't gain weight. Most everybody's complaining that they can't lose weight. But there
Admittedly.
are there are some obstacles to weight loss, and we thought we'd go over them today. I think for me, I would say the mindset of the person choosing, they have to decide they really truly want to lose weight and are willing to give up the foods that hit the reward center of the brain, like the fats and the French fries and the sugars. And I think I'd rearrange a list and say that maybe is the number one. Like, they might in their head be willing to do it, but when it comes to prepping food ahead of time and things like that, that's an obstacle, because grabbing something quick isn't usually a carrot.
True, true. And we do have to think about the fact that, weight gain isn't entirely a passive thing that happens to us. Everybody can go on a diet or make a diet change or eat a little healthier. We all know what to do technically from all the books and media and everything else out there. But we have to look at, if you want to maintain this, you cannot keep doing exactly what you were doing. It's going to stay the same. So I would say the cases of real, like something's wrong with your body, out of your control causes of thyroid is pretty small percentage, like 10%. The cooperation of what's going on in your body, plus the habit, plus the lifestyle, plus the choices that you make to eat and the emotional things going on. And of course, especially more so now than ever, the quality of the food supply all matter in our drinking water, everything else. We've got to, there are a lot of things that are out of your control in some of those respects. And of course, the balance in the body is what we're aiming for everybody, so that we can, fix everything, put it all back in balance, and then the body says, okay, got it now, I can take it from here. But if you keep going back to bad habits, bad food, bad choices, bad emotions, and bad, I just mean by what throws you out of balance,
Right.
you're going to be back there sooner or later. There's no maintenance.
It's really a lifestyle change. I mean, and it has to be in the household, in my opinion, because if you have one person deciding that fast food and highly processed foods are okay for them, and you have others that are trying to, that creates just some friction in the household. And food in the refrigerator, in the cupboard, that, 8 o'clock at night you're opening looking for a healthy snack, and the ding dongs are in front of you. I don't know. I think it's a temptation. So some of us are trying to outrun our genetics of being pro-inflammatory, and our metabolism slows down as we age, and there's all of these factors, but we can choose differently. And I think it has to be a mindset, but also kind of an agreement in the members of the household that this is going to be how it is, and the cupboards are going to get cleaned out, and that's the best recipe for success, when you can do it as a team.
Well, and a lot of that has changed in at least the American culture, in the sense that we used to cook everything from scratch. We used to have gardens on most households, not all necessarily, but we used to be closer to food, closer to the origins of food. And as we get busier, as we get more technological and more efficient and more fast at everything, everything becomes fast, including the food access. And so like your example of I'm kind of rummaging for a snack kind of thing, you know, before electric lights, you didn't like to read by candlelight. You weren't playing games. You were just like, oh, it's dark, I'm going to go to bed. You're not sitting there eating popcorn or ice cream or anything else, right?
Right.
And we've become more sedentary. So there's a lot of things just culturally that have changed a lot. And we enjoy that. I got to say, there's some real perks to that, right? It's very comfortable. It's fun not to run away from danger your entire life. But it's also creating some problems for us physically. And so when I talked about the 10%, okay, that's real problems, the genetics is number one aspect of that, of course. And then what you do with your genetics, or what you do to yourself in every aspect of your life, is going to enhance or worsen whatever package you were born with. In Chinese medicine, we always thought there were three main factors to our health. One is what you were born with, genetics. The other was lifestyle, and the other was food, and lifestyle and habit, okay? And the other is food. We do have control over lifestyle and food. The problem with current weight loss issues, besides the unique to you, like how old you are and genetics and all that, is that we always think of weight loss as what I can't do. I can't do that anymore. I have to be different. I'm deprived of something that everybody else can have. And that's a really bad way to look at it, because what it really means is those people, it's going to catch up with them sooner or later. The older you are, usually more obvious, but younger, we can get away with a lot, a lot, a lot. But yeah, it's going to catch up with them. It might do other damage, but
Oh, it's
it's
like
not a deprived
being
problem.
in your 20s and being at your, my lunch when I was 20 might have been a sugary soda and a candy bar, but it
Oh yeah.
had peanuts in it, right? So, and that was it, right? That was my lunch. I can't, I mean, just the sugar content alone would now just create a plethora of issues because I'm not 20 anymore.
Well,
I'm not
not just
30
that,
anymore.
but even a cookie recipe of the 1900s compared to now,
Oh gosh.
we have 2, 3 times, 4 times more sugar in it. And we actually got into trouble with that when we went to the non-sugar sugars, or non-sugar sweeteners, because now we're super sweet without the sugar, but now we crave sweet and it doesn't taste sweet to us anymore. If we were to eat a 1900 recipe designed as it would taste like cardboard to us, to our taste
Yeah.
buds. So there's a lot of things that are involved with that. So the kind of obstacles we want to talk about are ones we can fix, ones
Right.
that are
So
helpful.
more of like consistent eating habits, eating at the same time every day, uh, not skipping meals, you know, protein every couple of hours, like getting the metabolism kind of back in shape. If you think about it, it really is the action that you can do that you're creating the schedule, but you really are contributing to your metabolism kind of being on board.
Well, and timing can matter, because sometimes we need to not eat because it's noon, but because we have actual hunger. So we do have to consider that. Like, if it's noon and it's lunchtime, am I hungry? Sometimes we eat when we're not hungry, but we eat because this is when our scheduled time is.
Right.
Other times, when you eat and what you eat at that time depends on your activities and, again, your age. If you are physically active, you can burn off most calories. But if you're sitting at the desk, you're sitting on the couch, you're sitting on your phone, whatever you're doing that's sedentary, you have to eat less calories. Otherwise, whatever you can't metabolize and burn off right then, you're
Is
going to
getting
store it as
stored.
fat. Energy for later. That's what it's for. The fat is for us to store later, but it also has another purpose. The other purpose is to help us detoxify. When we are poisoned, when we have heavy metals, when we have chemical poisons in our environment, food, air, water, whatever, when it comes into our body says, oh my goodness, I can't metabolize that out. I can't detox it right this second. And it stores it in fat. And in fact, the fatter you get, the more poisons you're possibly storing. And so when you go on a weight loss program, it's not just weight loss, it's detox too. So what's going to happen is you might experience the heavy metals. You might experience those chemicals that came back through. You might experience the hormone overload. All of a sudden, you've been on a prescription for a certain dose at a certain weight, and then you started to lose weight, and it's like, oh my goodness, now I'm overdosed. And it's because you're releasing all of that out of the body fat. So we have to consider that. One, can you detox? Are you able to detox and not feel sicker? And also, what are we expecting to come out of that body fat when you lose weight?
And that's an important discussion to have with your healthcare practitioner, no matter who you see, because you're absolutely right. If you're taking X number of milligrams of whatever that, let's call it a blood pressure medication, as you're releasing weight, you're detoxing, which I never, when you told me that, I just never even dawned on me. But it makes perfect sense. So now you're getting the dosage for somebody that's 20 or 30 or however many pounds heavier. Your blood pressure could potentially drop way down because you're taking a dosage that's meant for somebody that's 40 pounds, let's say, heavier.
Mm-hmm.
So it really is important to maintain the relationship with your practitioner to make sure that everybody's on the same page and you don't run into those crises.
Mm-hmm. So people just have to be aware. You're going to detox physically from whatever built up at prior to now, and you're also going to plateau wherever you used to be the longest. So if you were always, and I'm just going to give an example of a woman, if you were at 130, 140 for 5 years, and you were only at 118 for 2, you're going to linger at that plateau with the higher weight longer. And it'll take longer to get to that 118 or whatever lower because you weren't there as long. Your body didn't set, it wasn't a set point for you. So that's something to keep in mind as well. When you're thinking about obstacles, a lot of people get discouraged when they hit these plateaus. And often the plateaus are where our weight used to be the longest.
Interesting. Is that a psychological as well as a rhythm of some kind?
I'm going to say more of a rhythm, but yes, it could definitely be psychological in the sense that, you know, if we were heavier and then we finally got down to where we had been comfortable, it's going to feel good for a while, but then we're going to be frustrated because it's not really where we want to be, and we weren't really happy there in the past either. So it's not going to feel as comfortable as it might have been as a success.
Sure.
It'll feel a little bit like a failure, but at first it's going to feel good because it's more comfortable to you.
Right.
Yeah. And it might be harder to get out of that because of wherever you were. And we also detox not just hormones and poisons and heavy metals, but we also detox emotions. And so a change like that on so much of your biology is also going to affect your emotional detox. So it's very important in order for success to listen to what's coming up and try and find ways to clear that in a different way than
Sure.
a dietary or lifestyle habit that wasn't working for you.
Well, and I think that's where my 1-minute stress release could really help because we can look at future. So you can have a goal for the future and put yourself in the future, but you can also deal with present issues, and you can go back in time, and maybe there's some reason, emotional reason perhaps, that some of these habits started. Very often people will emotional eat because it's comforting. We think of comfort foods like macaroni and cheese and potatoes and things that are creamy, a little sugar or convert to sugar, and a little salty, and they hit the reward center very quickly in the brain. And so if we can deal with the emotion and take the emotional charge out of the situation, then it's maybe very much easier to allow the body to release the weight and create a new set point.
Yeah, and all kinds of layers to that, as far as how we perceive ourselves, how others perceive us. If your mother was always thin, she might have always harped at you because you were always a little heavier than she wanted you or expected you to be, and that, especially depending on the age you were at, could really have a negative effect for you, especially as you're developing your self-identity.
And for some people, geographically, so I may have weighed less when I was further towards the equator, living further south, for a number of reasons. It was warmer longer. I could get out, I could exercise. I was getting more natural light, more vitamin D. And, when you move further north and you have winter hibernation, and I feel sometimes like we live at the edge over here in Washington, where it's not light in the morning until almost 8 a.m. it feels in the wintertime, and then by 3:30 it's starting to get dark. And so that hibernation time of just wanting to be eating warm foods, not getting outside when it's rainy or winter, and not getting as much exercise and sunlight is kind of the trifecta, perhaps, that is an obstacle. But I can certainly layer up, and I have snow boots and all of those things, and a dog that wants to be walked. So it's a mindset, I think, to come back to.
And seasonal eating actually is a thing. And some people might say, I don't gain weight or I lose weight in one season or another. And so they need to look at what they're eating differently, whether it's more of a particular thing, like more fruits and vegetables or something vitamin laden, versus, eating warm comfort foods, or, hot season, people tend to do more sugary drinks or iced teas and more ice cream kind of things. And so it's not that I have to give up all the fun things, all the things that give me that love and cuddly feeling. So ice cream, as an example, you can do whole fruit, freeze it at a peak season, and then you puree it and you make your own sorbet or ice cream. So you're still getting ice cream, but now you're getting all the nutrient laden whole foods instead of dairy, sugar, fat, right? So there's ways around that to still keep the things we love about that. I had a patient who was overweight, and her obstacle was very much in her mind, her emotions, because love was always food from her family. And she loved to give love by cooking for everybody. And there was no way she was going to lose weight, because food was equal to love. And who wants to feel unloved? Nobody.
Well, and we very often in families, especially in the United States, but I'm sure other parts of the world, they celebrate with food. We celebrate weddings with a meal. We celebrate birthdays, usually with maybe a barbecue, but then there's some sort of big cake or dessert or something. So it's part of the culture, and there are ways to make them healthier without having to tell the whole group of people, by the way, there's spinach in your brownies or whatever, right? We can just do it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to explain yourself to anybody. Just eat what you do and just say, I like it. But that the holiday or group participation type of eating, that is one of the obstacles as well. It's not just because it's a holiday, it's because you have decided to go on this weight loss healthy for me, I'm going to do everything right thing. And then you've got Susie's birthday party to go to, and then you've got, you know, grandma's celebration, and oh my gosh, I'm from an Italian family and it's Christmas and we make everything we could ever imagine for food. And then I'm visiting somebody from Greece and I've got the same, especially the Mediterranean. Yeah. So
there are those obstacles that
right.
are, so and you know, we could come up with strategies for individuals, which is great. One of the things, because I can't tolerate certain types of foods, I eat before I go. Or I take my own little bag of whatever with the, you know, an ice pack. Often I take my own beverage because I don't know what will be offered. And I would prefer to, I'm also like being in control of things. So that's how it makes it less of an obstacle to still go and attend birthdays and celebrations and visit friends that are Italian and have that crusty bread, let me tell you. Thankfully, it makes me very ill. It's Pavlovian conditioning. I get sick, so I don't eat it. But there are ways around things. And I think that's really what we want to give people, hope that we can create a program and have a discussion around the things that are obstacles and what are some solutions. And they can come up with some solutions too, I'm sure.
And that's where having guidance while you're making a plan. Everybody can go on a diet. Everybody can do some healthy for you, either restriction or adding nutrients. But when it comes to the obstacles, if you have someone working with you, you can pre-create your plan, how to work around it. Like, how important is this to me? And if it is really important, is there a way we can still do it exactly the same, but do it the way I need it to do? So when you're on that fasting or calorie or whatever thing you're doing that's different, you're not breaking it, because that's another obstacle. You cannot yo-yo, you cannot go up and down. If you want true cure, you want true success, you have to have a consistency. Your body doesn't go into this metabolism shift for a little while yet. And so you have to train it and get used to that. And then it goes, oh, I can let this go now. And so you have to keep that momentum, keep that plan going. If you keep stopping it because something interrupts, you make no success. And it's not a failure of the plan, it's a failure of we did not figure out a plan for those kinds of things to happen, because that's what derails me on that. You know, right. There are some things it's easy to say no to, or I really like to do it this way kind of thing. And then there are some things that we just cave every time it happens. So having some coaching or guidance unique to you is very important for that.
Yeah. And I think too, having a discussion with a significant other, a spouse, a friend, you know, you may not understand that you snore at night. That may be an obstacle with sleep apnea, and it could be kind of a double-edged sword. You have inflammation, or you're eating inflammatory foods that's causing some throat swelling, perhaps, you know, not like you're having an anaphylactic reaction, but just that extra weight. Once the weight comes off, but we do have to also pay attention to, you know, good sleeping habits. I don't think everyone understands that we breathe off fat as we're losing weight. We actually expel our fat when we breathe.
Well, we detox. We detox with our skin, our breath, our urine, our stool. We detox. These are all outlets for us. And if we're not doing any of them efficiently, they create problems or obstacles or stagnation. And so we do need to work on making sure the body's in balance again. Most health, I'm not going to say all, but a large percentage of health conditions are a result of inflammation. So again, with a practitioner, you can say, yeah, I know I have inflammation, but with a practitioner of some kind, depending on where your needs are, you can help determine where the inflammation is coming from, what the causative. Is it a food allergy? Is it my thyroid's not working? Is it my liver stagnant or cholesterol too high? Was I almost an alcoholic when I was young, kind of thing? So we have to think about where that inflammation came from and how we can minimize it with habit, diet, the things we can control, and whether or not our genetics, if we know them, are going to always make that a scheduled thing I have to work on, or something done. Once I fix it, I'm done. So knowing as much as you can about yourself is important.
Wonderful.